Good afternoon. Welcome to the Mom's Choice Awards studio at Book Expo 2012. I'm here this afternoon with award-winning author Sanjay Nambiar, author of Maybe, part of the A Little Zen for Little Ones book series. Welcome to the studio.
Hi, thank you so much, Terry. It's great to be here.
I saw you signing over there earlier today. How fun was that?
It's fantastic. It's always great to have people come by and just to interact with the readers and the parents and librarians. It's a wonderful experience.
Cool.
So thank you so much for having us.
We are so glad that you guys are here. We love doing this every year just to be able to show you guys off to the rest of the world because we know how great you are. It's to the rest of the world. So Maybe. What is the principle behind why a story with a title Maybe?
So this series, A Little Zen for Little Ones,
Okay.
it's about reinterpreting ancient Zen stories and making them accessible for modern audiences, and also writing new original stories for modern audiences. This story originally is about a farmer who loses a horse, and all the neighbors come by and say, hey, it's really bad luck. But the horse comes back with 6 other horses. Now he has a stable of horses. And the neighbors come by and say, it's really great luck. And the farmer each time says, maybe it's good luck, maybe it's bad luck. He's not sure. And then his son gets on the horse and falls and breaks his leg. And all the neighbors come by, that's bad luck. He says, maybe. And then, they come by, the army comes by for a draft, but his son has a broken leg, so he doesn't get drafted. So is it good luck, is it bad luck? It's a beautiful, timeless, ancient story, but it's hard for modern kids and adults to get into stories about horses and farmers, and the other Zen stories about monks and things like that. So with Maybe, we took that story and we reinterpreted it for a modern audience. So instead of a farmer, it's a preschool age girl. And instead of losing a horse, it's a bike. And so now when kids read it, it's something that makes sense to them. It's a context that they can understand instead of a very foreign or very remote context. And the whole idea is that kids and adults as well, if they can read these beautiful stories and if it makes sense to them, if it's a little more familiar, then they're more readily accepting that message, and they can at least think about the message more.
Now you're saying the series is built on ancient principles. How many stories have you already sort of modernized and planned out?
And there's so many that are out there. This is the first book that's coming out. The second book, called Still There, A Little Zen for Little Ones, is coming out in August. And that's an ancient story that's reinterpreted. And the third one is called Remember the Stars, A Little Zen for Little Ones. And that's going to come out October, November, and that's an original story that contains a lot of timeless Zen messages. Yeah.
Now that you've got one and you've got two quickly behind it, how does it feel? I mean, do you, particularly even being here, is there something about the energy of having a published book and knowing that 2 more are coming that just sort of, okay, I want to keep doing. Do the ideas automatically start flowing, or do you have a plan that you really want to stick with?
It's interesting. There's a little bit of both. I mean, there's a phenomenal sense of accomplishment and a sense of we're building a foundation here. We're so lucky at Mom's Choice Awards is part of that foundation. MCA has been wonderful to us, and that's really given us a platform to expose the book to a greater audience. And we're very appreciative of that, and that's wonderful for us to leverage for just not the marketing, but building the book series, building my presence as an author, and building the publishing company. So there, we feel lucky and we feel very empowered for the foundation we're building, but at the same time, it's also very daunting. So we look around, it's unbelievable how many wonderful publishing houses and authors and products that are in this giant conference center. So we look around and we go, wow, we have a long way to go. But it's wonderful, that's part of the process.
But if somebody turned around and said, and I know the sense of, okay, there's just so many other things and so many great things, what do you say when you look at your book and you say, you know what, we're unique because of what? We stand out in this big universe of publishers and books and all these things because of, how would you finish your sentence?
Because we're creating books that impact, and they're all based on series. So the idea is when someone's going to read this children's book, it's going to be entertaining and fun, but I want them to be able to think about that message, not just during the reading of that book, but afterwards, and for a long time afterwards. And the idea is not to place any type of value judgment, to say what's wrong and what's right, but to give them food for thought. So they can read this book, and that's a big part of that is the essence of Zen philosophy as well. It's about being in the moment, it's about kindness, it's about acceptance. So all these stories, the language is modern, the illustrations are modern, the message is very contextual for today's kids, but underlying that is that Zen philosophy where it's maybe we can take back a little bit of our lives because we have so much stimulation.
Absolutely.
And we're bombarded with just so many distractions that when kids can read books like these, maybe they can think about things in a different light. And we can just even imply a little bit of that thought. We can convey that message to the tiniest degree, then we feel fulfilled. Like that's why we went down this road. That's why we're writing these books. That's why we've created this company.
That's wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you so
Can't
much.
wait
It's an
to see
honor
the
to be
next
here.
books.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Absolutely.
All right.